Hi guys, welcome to Bobzybounce. I'm Bobs.
And I'm Bouncer.
Today we've got another interesting podcast. This person, just to put it in context, I'll give a bit of an introduction. Okay, so this person basically went from zero to hero. Okay, we're going to explain how. Bianca, how are we doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Thanks for coming down.
Nice.
Really appreciate it. First of all, I want to congratulate you, by the way, about the 3 peaks that you did.
Yeah.
So just tell us about the 3 peak challenge that you did, and how did you find it?
It's awful.
It's awesome. Listen, at least you've been honest about it.
No, it was good, but it definitely pushes you in every way, and I think a lot more mentally than physically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the cause like?
So I just lost my granddad through cancer, so I did mine for cancer research. But there was a team of us from the boxing club that did it, and we all did it for different charities for our own reasons. So yeah, there was a group of I think 16 of us that went. And
How many completed it?
Around 7.
About 7 of us. Listen, you did better than because me and Bouncer, we didn't do the 3 peaks, we did just the one,
Yeah.
but we went with the group, which basically did one.
Yeah.
But the whole group, how many was there?
Must have been about 20, wasn't it?
Yeah,
About 20.
and I think only about two people did it.
Only 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see why. Which way did you guys do it?
Oh no, we didn't do the full one, but we climbed the tallest one.
Ingleton.
Ingleton, that's the one, yeah.
Yeah.
But then we came back, that's a whole different story altogether, but it's not about us, yeah, it's about you. So let's talk about you. So the reason why I said that, zero to hero, is because you basically, you went through a really, a nasty relationship and a nasty divorce.
Yeah.
Basically hit rock bottom. But now you're at a point where you've basically, established yourself and you've created a business.
Yeah.
And it's a successful business, and it's doing better and better every day, and you're doing so much for the community as well in terms of charity work and all sorts. So we just want to go over the bad patch, okay, how you got through that, and how then you've turned it all around into a positive, and now you've got your own business now.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I kind of rushed into marriage, and I thought I'd got sort of Mr. Nice Guy on paper. So we got married within a year, which I think in hindsight probably were a bit of a red flag. But yeah, we had a great marriage initially, and then sort of after we'd sort of got married, things started to change, and then unfortunately in the last year became violent. And it's something I've always been dead against, so it's kind of hard for people to believe that or hear that from me. And also from him as well, because he didn't seem to be that character either. But he had a lot going on in his life, and that sort of came out. There were a couple of incidences where we'd go away for a weekend and get rid of kids, and it'd end in violence. And I kept it to myself, because I knew if I told my family, they wouldn't really accept him around and people wouldn't get on anymore. And I had a lot of pride. But then on the last incident, my daughter was present, and that was a final straw for me, so I left then and I never went back.
You mean the last incident when we were physically violent towards you?
Yeah.
So your daughter was in the same room while she saw that happening?
Yeah, it started in the bathroom when we were bathing her, and then escalated downstairs. Some of it were around us, some of it was in another room, but sometimes as a child hearing violence can be worse than seeing it. So yeah.
If you don't mind me asking, so the last time, when you were physically abusive, so what was the extent of it?
Well, as you can hear my voice, I don't really have one anymore, yeah. And I used to be the loudest person in the room. I had injuries, I had head injuries, I had back injuries, I had rib injuries, and initially I just had a little bit of bruising and swelling on my throat, and the strangulation injuries didn't come till later on. So I didn't even know there was damage here for a couple of weeks, and then swelling and bruising kept going and coming back, and I went for an MRI scan and they put dye in, and I found out that my vocal cords were quite badly strained, and some of them really badly damaged, so I got referred to ENT. I had my last MRI scan on the 10th of August, so it's been procedures for over 3 years now, and they've sort of kept me coming back because as the strain's gone on so long, it's then caused nodules on my vocal cords on top of that, which has happened because of the strain, but it's something they've got to keep an eye on, so I'm still having procedures because of that now. And my voice doesn't always like sound like this. Some days I've noticed when I go swimming in gym and I'm in the steam room a lot, it gets a bit clearer. And then when it's like school holidays and I ain't got time to go, it gets more husky again then. But it's sort of bounced around but never fully repaired over the last 3 years. And I think that's the worst, one of the worst scars I've got, definitely.
So when all this abuse when it started, did it start from just all of a sudden?
No, he was having sort of a custody battle, and the first sort of few years of his relationship, we didn't have to deal with that, and things were all right, and the kids were around, and they lived with us, and then that sort of changed for a bit, and then he changed with that. And the only way I can describe it is like he was grieving and going out drinking, and a different person. He just not somebody I knew.
So because of what, the custody thing, that caused him to basically become violent. Do you think it was the drink that escalated everything?
Yeah, definitely. I think he went back to rugby to sort of help him with fitness and emotions, because it was a very emotional time for all of us. We were all madly in love with the girls, but I think the other side of that club was going out partying, and I think if you're happy and your life's fine, drink's fine, but if you're not, then no, it's not for you.
So you got like kids with him as well, or?
We both had kids before we got married to previous partners, but we both lived in a household with both sets of children living with us. So we were both part of raising each other's children as well.
So it must have been obviously traumatic for the kids, you know, seeing everything and hearing, you know, like you said, you know, when they hear it, it's more traumatic for them.
Yeah.
Because obviously seeing is like, oh, you get a bit of shock, like, oh, wow, but hearing it, it's like...
It's worse.
It's worse, yeah, it's worse.
It sounds worse. And the thing was, like, not that I would ever okay that, because had that not have been a marriage, had that have been a relationship, I wouldn't have stayed.
Yeah.
But because it was a marriage and divorce wasn't something my family approve of, and all I do, that kept me. But not that it's a valuable excuse, because it's not. None of this was around the children until the last incident.
Yeah.
So I know it's not all right, but the children was having a good life. It was just that sometimes I wasn't, and I was hiding that from everybody, bar one person. That was a really good family friend. She'd sort of seen something, and then from that I could confide in her towards the end.
Yeah.
But other than that, I hid it very well.
Yeah. Is it because obviously, you know, you wanted to hide it from your family, like, you didn't want to cause issues for everyone. That's what it was, yeah.
I didn't want anyone else to go through what I was going
It was like
through.
embarrassment kind of thing.
Much, yeah, and I think, because I've put it right, my mum's side of the family is like Irish, and we already got this like feisty women sort of reputation, and we're all strong and stubborn women anyway. I think, like, if the guy's quiet and seems to be like a nice guy and a good guy, I think it's hard to understand that person misbehaving, whereas somebody that just sort of says a spade and a bit got their own opinions and a bit strong-minded, I think it's easy for everyone to go, well, what she said, what she done, and I just didn't want to be in that situation in any angle of it.
So
So it looks like if he did come out and tell people, they'd be like, hang on a second, you're a bit of a...
Feist.
Yeah, you're a bit like one of those. What's the term, man? Like you're like kind of outlandish girl, and you kind of say how it is. So, and he was like a bit of an introvert.
Yeah.
So it looks like everybody pointing a finger at you.
They did.
Yeah.
When it did come out, the police were called on that incident at the end, not by me, by a neighbour, but they were involved at the end. And when that happened, some of his friends surrounded me on a night out in town, and basically called me a lot of abuse and accused me of lying in front of him as well. And I just obviously asked him to admit it, but it was a really difficult experience, and it was made very, very traumatic by the way they handled that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's one occasion, but like, obviously I don't want to talk about every single occasion that, you know, that something bad happened, because I do want to kind of move over to...
No, I think we've all moved on now in life as well.
Yeah, but I mean, because I know there was like the physical side of it, and obviously you've said that, you know, he treated you quite bad, physical abuse, but also like mental, which, you know what, I'd go as far as saying that if someone does it properly, okay, if you've got a person who knows what they're doing, they could actually give you irreparable damage.
Yeah.
When it comes to like a mental trauma or mental abuse.
Yeah.
Was any of that going on as well?
Yeah, it's not gone away, where it has in a lot of sense. Like, I've got my confidence back, I'm dressing more like myself now, and I feel so much stronger and happier now than I ever have. But when the first year and the second year, more the second year, I had a lot of damage to my teeth through being asleep and starting to grind my teeth, and the dentist said that was all trauma in my subconscious. So, and that's not really from physical, in your subconscious is more from the mental. So in some aspects that's a lot worse.
But like, I mean, I don't want to kind of obviously, because I know it's quite traumatic, but like, were there any instances where he would, you know, say something or do something which would really, really, like, you know, psychologically would kind of do, you know, mess with your head?
Yeah. When we initially got together, everyone didn't expect it because he wasn't my type. And in the first year, he used to say how good looking I was, and everyone used to say, like, how have you got hurt? But then in the second year, he'd spun it. And we was on a night out in the local pub, and I remember him grabbing my face in front of his friends and saying, like, oh, she's punching above her weight. And it was just really humiliating and belittling. And I remember my best friend being there and, like, really aggressive with him, like, verbally, but, like, she couldn't believe what she was hearing and tried to explain to me what he was doing. I was like, oh, it's the banter who's punching, or he's a 10-10. But really, what he was chipping away. It was the same with work. There was issues with me working and stuff at that point, and doing it in different ways. Instead of just outright saying, I don't want you to work, he'd always do things in a nice guy way, but prevent me from getting to work, not be there to take over the childcare so I could go to work, or cause an argument to leave so I'd miss a shift. Just different things, but it's all really difficult because it's easy to be a stay-at-home mum for some people, but for me, I needed my own thing to keep the person I am. Yes, I found taking that away quite hard as well.
Yeah. You said to me earlier as well, there was this one occasion, was it in Manchester?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, which was probably like one of the worst experiences that you had.
Yeah, there were 3 that I'll never forget.
Okay, so I mean, if you don't mind, just quickly, like, just going over like what.
Yeah, so it's a bit embarrassing, but like we've all got confidence issues.
Yeah.
And one of mine, like growing up, was my chest, and I didn't have confidence to sort of take my top off or anything like that, and he was well aware of that. And I had a laugh and joke at the bar with some of the people that were staying in the hotel and drinking there, and that's just the type of person I am to speak to anyone anywhere. But when we got up to the room, he wasn't happy about it, and there was a big argument and a bit of a shuffle on the floor, and he decided, I knew what he was going to do, so I also did something so I knew I could get home, but he decided to cut or rip my top and bra off and throw me outside the hotel room, and said, yeah, go and speak to him like that. And the only exit I had from him locking me out of the hotel room and refusing to let me in it was to walk through that bar, everything out, to get out of that hotel.
So hang on, so you didn't have any...
What was left of them,
So
like
you
sort of a
just
cardigan,
just
just covered myself and ran through, but there wasn't much left of it.
Yeah.
And knowing that was a big thing for me, if you'd have done that I'm not saying he planned to do that, but that happened in the accident, and he was glad that had happened and was like, yeah, go show him that. But to me, even if you would have done that accidentally, knowing that person's that self-conscious, you would have brought him back in that room and been like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I've done that. Not to put him through that, and that mentally for me was really, really difficult. But what I'd done, I slipped his, well, oh, sorry, what I said, I'd catch that with my answer. While we were like rolling around on the floor and arguing, and he was kind of throwing me about, and I was kind of trying to throw him off, I knew he was going to lock me out of the hotel room, and he was like in control of that room. So I got his car key out of his back pocket while we were rolling around. So when he did that and threw me out, I just ran to his car and drove home.
So
but the next day I had to go pick him up.
Yeah.
His auntie came to pick me up and were like, he's stranded in Manchester.
Yeah, but the thing is, look, at the end of the day, I think what he did was far worse.
Yeah.
Look, you're a woman, you've got dignity, right? You know, you don't. I won't even do that to a girl who like I really hate.
No.
You know, you wouldn't do that. That's like the girls, like it's like a shameful thing.
It's going too far, but do you know what? In the end, he ripped a plaster off that I needed to rip off, and a sort of my, like, I wouldn't say it was revenge, but it certainly went down like that on Instagram.
By the way, you know, after that incident happened, how long were you with him after then? Still.
I think around 6 months.
Still 6 months. So still kind of gave him a chance. So
Yeah, but the respect was gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, really gone.
Yeah. You kind of did respect him on that, you know.
But then when we split up, I did a lingerie photo shoot with James Anthony Photography.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, and put that on Instagram, like, thanks, I've got over it now.
No, but the thing is, look, at the end of the day, I think obviously you did that because you were like, it's kind of like a slap in his face kind of thing. Like, you tried to pick me apart, you tried to break pieces out of me, but I'm still confident and I'm still here kind of thing. So it just kind of shows you, like, you know, I'm still a strong woman. Obviously, it's not something that I would say to somebody to do, right? I wouldn't say, if you've been to an abusive relationship, go start doing lingerie, right? That's not the advice that I would give. But
I would.
Yeah, but if that worked for you, if that worked for you, then it works for you.
It did and it didn't. There was a bit of a backfire on back of it in, like, some of the messages I received, but no, it was a good thing. I was glad I did it.
Yeah, but you did that for yourself.
Yeah.
More than anything.
Yeah.
Just to prove to yourself that, listen, I am an independent individual. I don't need... And plus, after all the trauma that he put you through, psychological trauma, trying to put you down and all this shit, yeah, this basically kind of, you doing this kind of showed him that kind of fuck you kind of thing. You know
I wanted to take my control back. Yeah.
Which, I mean, how did you feel after you did that?
I was absolutely scared when I got there, and I made my friend do it with me because I didn't dare do it.
So you dragged her into it as well?
Yeah. I rang her up, I was like, I need you to take some pictures in your bra. She was like, what?
All right, good.
And I was like, yeah, I need to do this modelling photo shoot. You don't have to pay anything, but you get really good pictures. She was like, yeah, I'll come. But she was going through a breakup at the same time, and I was like...
Guys, if anybody wants to see Bianca's pictures, right, subscribe to OnlyFans.
It was on Instagram, but I think I took it off. I'm not sure if I took it off TikTok, actually. I better go check.
Okay, well, guys, get there quick. But, yeah, I mean... So let's look at the positive now, yeah? So you went through, like I said, you went through the mud, you went through the shit, but now you've come out, because now you've got a business set up, and it's, you know, upholstery.
Yeah.
For people that don't really know what that is, you basically, like, so like chairs and sofas and many other things which, like, need reconditioning, so to speak.
Yeah.
You basically...
It's a bit like the repair shop.
Yeah. So how and when did this all come about?
So my divorce happened at the start of lockdown, and normally if sort of your mate has a breakup, you'll grab them, you'll go out for drinks, you'll go out for food. That was impossible for me because it was lockdown, so I was worried how do I deal with this in this situation because I'd never been there before. So I started to do a bit of upholstery work, sort of by accident, just by being a single mum and doing repair jobs.
By the way, just quickly, have you actually got any experience in upholstery work before you started a business?
Yeah, that's how it sort of came about. I got a shop with my friend and we were just selling crystals and jewellery and stuff like that next door to an upholstery shop, and he asked me to do his shop window and like the way I did it, and then eventually he asked me to then work there and then manage that shop, and I learnt the trade there, and I used that as a coping mechanism. I'd take my work home, or I'd go into work after hours or weekends, to sort of fill that quiet time that you have to get used to when you then become a single person, and then focused on upholstery really. And I learned it through his business there, and then after a couple of years of being there, I decided I wanted to do it for myself and go my own way with it. So I accidentally fell upon a guy that was coming to retirement and wanted someone else to take over his shop. We was looking for somebody that was missing on Canal, and I got talking to an upholstery guy in Thornton Lodge, and he was coming up to retirement, so I said I'd help him until the retirement, which was a couple of months, and then I'd take over the shop with, at the time, a business partner who I did it with for a year, and then now I've took over and it's just me now. I've got 2 other members of staff that come in here and there to help, but that I sort of employed to come in, but now it's just my business now.
I think you know, the work that you do, because obviously we're going to put all of your socials, if that's okay, you know, on the description, so your TikTok, your Facebook, because you're quite active on Facebook as well, your Instagram and all that, because what you do, I really like, you put like videos of you actually doing the work, like fixing up a chair, you know, putting like a new cover on, putting the nails in and all of that stuff, and I'll be honest with you, it's like a very addictive thing to watch.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you know, you're using your hands, you're like hands-on person, and it's like a proper craftsmanship.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know if that's the right term you can use nowadays in the society we live in, craftsmanship, because you're a man, right? But you know what I mean, right? But it's like, you know, you're using your hands. It's a skill that not everybody possesses, and you know, you're literally making something that looks shit, into something that looks really good and really presentable.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're going to put all of your socials there as well. So and I think I have a lot of time, for people like that, like yourself, who actually, put in the actual manual graft.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to help people and like realising there's a lot of people. I initially thought I'd be helping women, like if they're single mums and they've got kids and the beds might need repairing, the headboards might need repairing, or the sofas. So loads of people get a brand new sofa because the seat's gone and they only need a foam. And I thought, oh, let me put this out there and explain. I felt like I've found this like little trick that'll help families. And then I've had some of my friends that are like really big masculine guys, like, Bianca, will you come and help me build this chair? I can't do it. So I've ended up kind of doing it more for men actually. But I thought initially I can go and help these mums because it's really hard when you're on your own to sort of fix all these things. Like I've got a job that sort of most traders seem to be men. And people are like, oh, well, it's nice to see that women can do everything and we don't need a man. But actually, it's not true, we do. Yeah. Like, there's still jobs where I'll, like, ring round my friends, like, try call a favour with some guys. But, yeah, I think not everyone has that support or has that person in their life. Like, a lot of the men in my family have passed away, so it's quite a female family now. And not everyone has that person to ring, so I thought, like, even if I can go in and do the repair, I will. If not, if I can get someone for them. So sometimes it can be like I can go in and recommend someone or help them. But just to sort of give you somewhere as a starting point, to sort of help people, like, live better. And like, that's what we did with the free beds thing I was telling you about. I just wanted to help.
Well, actually, let's talk about that for a second. So, obviously, I mentioned right at the start that you work very closely with charities as well, and so like explain about the free bed thing that you said there. Yeah,
well, it was quite close to my heart because when I got divorced, I ended up in a homeless situation, and we've started again. And then when I was going into these houses to do these chair repairs,
how long were you homeless basically?
So I had to go into Cambridge Lodge, which is like a homeless hotel that they put you in
with the kids,
with my kids for a couple of weeks. But on one of the first nights there was a machete attack, so I arranged for my children to stay with other family members or the dads, because it wasn't a place for children. There was a lot of drug use, there was a lot of violence in there. It was quite traumatic just to be there.
Is it one of them high-rise flats?
It's a hotel, but they put like a lot of people who just got out of jail or drug addicts or homeless in there. So you see a lot in there. A lot of things I didn't think happened anymore. But yeah, you saw a lot in there, and I was there I think 3-4 weeks, but my children were only there days. So that was quite difficult for them because they don't stay out like that. And then they put us in temporary accommodation then for 6 months. I tried to get private houses, but one of the issues, because I was married, I needed my husband's permission with a lot of landlords. And like a lot of the credit checks had to credit check my husband as well, even though we were separated. And he refused any part of that, so that then took a lot longer, and I think it ended up being about a 9-month period.
Wow.
And just to give you an idea of the temporary accommodation, there was no gas, no roof. This started in like July and finished in March, and that winter we had a lot of snow and everyone was posting pictures of the icicles and stuff like that, and my children were having to get in bed with me because we were talking and you could see the breath.
Really? Oh my God.
Yeah, my daughter clung to my mum leaving her house and said, please grandma, can I stay here tonight? I can't go back there, I can't feel my body. And it was just really, really bad conditions. I didn't think families ended up in them situations this day and age, but we was all sort of sharing a bed just for warmth. And to live like that for 9 months whilst grieving for your partner and divorce and the rest of it and him moving on quickly and then all coming back to nothing every day. I know what it's like for kids not to have like the comforts of their own room and how bad that is for children. So when I was going into houses and doing a chair or delivering furniture I was selling, and I'd see the kids sort of have a ripped headboard or a panel might have gone through because they've jumped on the beds, I'd say to parents, oh, do you want me to fix that? I can do that. I figured that out. And they was like, yeah, do it. And I said to my business partner at the time, because it was just before he left, why don't we do this coming up to Christmas and just put it out there for families? We'll do it for free. We've got all this wood we've been in anyway every week. We can use this to fix these beds and give them children that space, because it might not sound like a lot, like putting a piece of wood on a bed or changing a headboard so it's got a pink headboard cover for a little girl, but that is their space and they need that, and that is quite a big thing for a child. So me seeing that through my own children made me want to do that. So the local newspaper, the Examiner, they came and did a bit of a story on it, and we did loads of beds for a few months, and we was only going to do it till December, but that many families needed us. We did it right up until Easter. So yeah, I'm quite glad we did that. And even now, if I'm there and I see that, I'll always offer to do that.
Yeah, no, because it's something that you, unfortunately, is something that you went through, and you just didn't want anybody else to go through that.
No.
So it's like I said, you know, it's a very admirable thing, you know, to do that, because you remembered, obviously, that, look, this is what I went through, but I don't want anybody else. And, you know, it is upsetting, because, you know, when your kids are suffering, and obviously, you know, I've got kids and everything, and it's not, you never want to see that. You never want to put your kids through that, you know what I mean?
No, you always want them to have better, don't you?
Exactly. So what you did is amazing, but you've also done other charity stuff as well, haven't you? Did you do something for a boxing event?
Yeah, so it was the left jab boxing. I put my children into that around that time to sort of help them, and I wanted them to have male role models in their life, even though I'd gone through divorce and the male role models in my life had passed away.
So do you think then, Bianca, so despite, like, you know, you had a shitty relationship and the guy was an absolute idiot, right, a complete waste of space, you still don't curse all men?
No, opposite.
Right, okay. Yeah.
Most of my friends are men, and some of the greatest role models in my life that have given me like the best experiences, like my uncle Youth, my granddad, my dad, who unfortunately them three have passed away, but they was like such a big part of me being me. And my dad was like ex-army, like survival and independence. I think that's a lot of how I've handled this. The things he would, Sunday morning it'd be like, get up, we're going on a bike ride, and I hated
Or like
him.
a regiment.
Yeah, I hated.
Yeah.
And your mum's supposed to teach us to be a housewife, and my dad taught me how to like fold.
Yeah.
So it was like that side of it. But now it's done me good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember like my dad showing me how to fix a bike, taking us on bike rides, taking other kids in the area on bike rides. My granddad giving me like so much unconditional love, and being biased. If I was in trouble in school, he would like stick up for me with my mum, and my uncle giving me so much advice and loyalty and stuff. And I think everyone needs that. Like, maybe you don't need it as a relationship, because some people, you know, it doesn't work for them, and it didn't in my experience. But you, as a woman, need advice from a man. You might need their help, and your children need male role models, just to grow up, because it's not a one-person thing raising a child. They need different influences and a community, really.
You know, it's good that you say that, and I think it's very important, because I think this message needs to go out, because a lot of women that go through like a traumatic breakup, or even not a traumatic, even like, you know, just like a guy's cheated on them, right, and it hasn't been as traumatic as yours, but like just something simple, and then they start to shit on guys. Like, all guys are the same, they're all bastards, blah blah blah, and they become like
feminists.
Yeah, they become like hardcore militant feminists, right?
Yeah.
I've got no issue with feminism, okay, I really don't, but to a degree.
Yeah, I'm a bit.
Yeah. But like, you know, when like women start saying that we do not need guys in the world,
No,
I'm thinking, come on, what are you about?
we do.
Like, you know,
We do, but no, I think, do you know, when you just said that, you just reminded me of something. So after the separation, I went to therapy, and the first conversation with the counsellor, she said, "Oh, why are you here? Is it like to recover?" And I said, "No, I'm not here to sort of slate him or say like, oh, I'm a victim, because that to me is like the worst thing I could be." I said, "I'm here to know what I'm doing wrong." And she was like, "But all these things have happened to you. I've not had a woman come here in divorce and say that." And I said, "No, I'm picking these people. I'm tolerating it. I'm attracting it. I'm not. His issues are his issues, and he isn't always that person either."
Please don't tell me that. So throughout the time where he was physically abusing you, psychologically abusing you, at that point in time, you were thinking there must be something wrong with me.
150%.
Well,
And
then
there
I
was.
think, well, then I think that you're fucked, right? Because
Maybe a bit.
No, because he is the one in the wrong over here.
Yeah, and no, he is 150% in the wrong, and no man has got a right to hit a woman, and vice versa.
Yeah. No.
But at the same time, why was I looking for that? Why was I attracting that?
Yeah.
Why was I living with that? Because abuse doesn't start from the first violent episode. It starts the first time they control you, they belittle you, the way that they behave, the way that they start treating you this way to pull you in to be able to control you that way. Just because I had the label of marriage and the opinions of divorce that would come, why did I just accept all that? What was I looking for? And I was right to look within myself, because I was a single mum and I just wanted that 2.4 family. And as soon as it wasn't an attraction on my part, I didn't want him. Everyone else said, go for this guy, he's Mr. Nice Guy, he's such a family man, and give him a chance.
Also, you didn't actually find him attractive?
No, everything in my body was telling me to run. I should have listened.
Oh, right, okay.
But no, it wasn't my type by any means.
Like peer pressure kind of thing. Right.
It was kind of like your friend saying, like, it's not about looks. This is a person you should date. He's a great guy. And I thought, maybe I should then. But that's where I went wrong. It doesn't really matter what your 9 to 5 is. It doesn't really matter how your relationship seems to be on social media with your parenting or your family relationships. Now I've learned, I'm not really interested whether you're like a bin driver or a lawyer. I'm interested in like how your morals are, how you treat people. So I was doing things wrong, and I was in a vulnerable state without realising, where I was saying like, I need this and I need that. So I attracted it. And I tolerated it, and that's what I wanted to work on, to make sure I knew them signs and wasn't going to tolerate it, and most importantly, didn't raise children that would either do that or tolerate that. So that was my concern.
Would you say as well, like, obviously what happened with you were wrong, right? But partly it's kind of good that it happened because it's made you into the person that you are today.
Yeah, I don't agree with these Facebook quotes that say like, oh, this damage has made you stronger and it's great. Ideally, if I could not be damaged, I'd be better. Yeah.
Right.
But by the end of it, the person I am physically, mentally, I would have never have ended up with my own business. I wouldn't have done the free peaks.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been in the gym or swimming. I wouldn't have had the friendships and relationships that I have now. And I wouldn't have moved on the way that I've moved on. The person that I am today, I would have never have found that person.
Your mentality is very different.
Yeah. I've never found this level within myself of this sort of like self-love or confidence or self-worth before what I have now.
Plus, I think in a sense, it's not good, but it is kind of as good what happened, because now you can instill in your kids how not to be to your better half.
Yeah.
Okay. How not to, so like the relationship you were in, you can now kind of engrave, because the thing is, partially I think he was the way he was because of his upbringing.
Yeah.
Okay. He clearly came from a broken home. Okay. So obviously he had nobody to teach him the rights and wrongs.
Yeah.
Okay. Whereas now you can now instill that information into your kids.
Yeah, which is why I went to the boxing, because I wanted them to still have positive male role models, and I didn't trust myself at that time to invite that into our household relationship wise. And I said to the children, I've made a decision that I'm not going to have another partner living with us in your childhood. But what I do want you to do is, and I put them into loads of different hobbies, which they've now still got several, but mainly was the boxing one. And I said, what I want you to do is go into different things, see what you like, because you still need to have advice from men. Like, I've got 2 boys in my household, one my son, one my nephew, and these things they asked me, my son asked me last year or year before, oh mum, how do I aim? And I was like ringing my friends, like, how do I aim? And I was like, I can't do this, boy, mum, I don't know. And I was like ringing the guys like, can someone help? I don't know what advice I'm meant to give for this. So there's like certain, and the same with single men bringing up girls, you need to be in environments where they can branch off.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And have that advice. So when we went to the boxing, initially it was for the kids, give them role models. And the first year I was partying a lot, being single, purely because I didn't want to go back to a silent house. And I was very depressed at that point, and I didn't trust myself. So I wanted to be around people so I knew I'd be all right. And I was talking to the boxing coach, who's now one of my good friends, and I was like, I don't know what to do with myself when I'm like, the kids have gone for the weekend, now I'm home alone. What do I do? So I go out partying and it's not really for me anymore. But I need to do something for me. And he just said, oh, we'll come down and train with us, and we've got this 3 peaks challenge coming up, why don't you give that a go? And I was laughing like, I drive to the shop, like, I'm not going to do this. And he was like, well, we'll train you. And there was 6 weeks training. And he's like, we'll train you. He's like, and do you know what, Bianca, you're like most stubborn woman I've met. And I know you'll drag yourself over hill. And you were right, I got injured and I dragged myself to the finishing line. So we did the 3 peaks challenge for charity. And the next one now, injuries being well, if I can get the physio right in time, we're going to do the boxing for you charity, which will then be in the ring.
Well, you're gonna box?
Yeah. Yeah,
You
I
fight
think
someone?
so. Yeah, I think
Were you
so.
fighting?
As long as it's not my daughter, I'm not bothered.
Was she getting the shit out of you?
Yeah. I think all the men in the boxing club at Left Jab would agree with me. They'd have like anyone but her as well. She's like worse than me.
That's wicked. So what's the plan? Have you got any dates fixed up for this?
Yeah, it's in October. He'll kill me for not remembering. Yeah, I think it's in October, but it's all on their page and my page. But I think we've got about 7 weeks to train. A lot of the 3 Peaks challenge, because it was at the boxing gym, was normal circuits and cardio, but then obviously a lot of sparring and boxing.
Yeah.
And it was really great for me to get my anger out, and really great for me to, like, fitness wise get a bit better, because I wanted
Your anger out. What are you angry about?
life. It could be a bad day at work or anything, but I just thought it was just a good channel for me to put everything into and not make a show of myself and have a bottle of wine and be embarrassed next day. So I did that for the 3 Peaks, and now I'm going to hopefully next week get back in there after the physio and do the boxing training. And it's just so good, and with such a great team. Like on the 3 Peaks, there wasn't one part that everybody found hard. I don't know if it was the same with your group, but like some of us would find the middle one, everyone said's great, because you do like a bit of a hill and then you do a long walk and then a bit of a hill, and I hated that. I found that what was meant to be the hardest one, the tallest one you did, the best, because I could see my end point, I just put my head down and I knew when I got to the top I was at the top and it was done. Whereas me and the girls nicknamed the middle one like Side Chick Sally, like you just didn't know she was there, and then there was just like a corner of her, and then there was this other mountain that, you know, there was the finish point one in sight, and I found that one really hard, and some of the girls found the first ones really hard, and on the last one we had 1 or 2 women that were scared of heights, and there was a bit of like rock climbing at the side of the mountain, and I love heights.
Well, they didn't like heights. I would have said, listen, love, this isn't for you. Because when you get to the top and you look down and you can literally see the whole earth, and you can see people that are...
You can see the sea. Did you notice the Irish Sea?
I don't know.
No, it was quite covered with clouds where we went.
I don't know.
Well, was it? Yeah,
Cloudy, yeah.
it cleared up a bit at the top.
The Irish Sea?
Yeah, and I think one of the guys said it was a bit of the Irish Sea when they got it on the maps, but you could see the sea miles and miles away.
All I remember is I couldn't breathe properly. And I'm like vaping away. I'm like, Bounce, I can't breathe, man. And you're like, you're vaping. I'm like, oh yeah, flipping out. It was like,
Not as bad as me. I'm doing it for cancer research, and I'm saying to coach, think it's all right if I have a cigarette? And he was like, no.
But what charity did we do it for? What was the charity?
It was for kids' school in charity, so it's underprivileged kids in school in Pakistan.
Was it?
Yeah, we did it for them, yeah.
Oh.
I mean, it was a good cause.
It's
but,
nice.
Yeah, but everybody that we did it with, similar to you, they were fucked.
Yeah.
They were gone.
And do you know what? Our team was so good, because everyone would get different struggling points, mentally, physically. There was a few of us that got injuries. You know, there was a few of us that got like mental obstacles and was like really upset, and like, I can't do this. And the driver broke his wrist. One of the women did a knee in. It was all right because we all drove, but one of the women did a knee in on the second one. I did my knee in on the third one. I ended up finding out I'd done both of these in, but I only knew I'd done one, thank God. And there were just so many different problems, but as a team, like, we got to the top of the second one, and our coach shouted something and we couldn't really hear him, so we all went straight back down the hill, even knowing, like, if this isn't serious, we're gonna have to do this hill again. But as a team, we just all grouped together so many times. There was times where, because it was kind of like 2 age groups, so we'd sort of ended up in 2 groups at times and towards the end. And it was just like, right, we want to do it it's a 12-hour challenge. We want to kind of do that. So we're going to just like push ourselves and go for it. If we do it, we do it. If we don't, we don't. Yeah. And that group was happy with their sort of group. And they was like, well, we're just going to do it at this pace and we'll be fine. So we ended in 2 groups. But there were times where if there was something or someone was struggling, we all grouped back together, and if it was a case of taking someone to the minibus, would break off, or getting someone a cup of tea, or sitting and having a chat with them 5 minutes, encouraging them to get back on it. Or like we all had to like tie us tops round his knees to like makeshift army injuries. But no, it was really, really good. Like, as a team, I think if I wouldn't have done it with that group, I don't know. For that cause, because I sort of had my granddad on my mind. I think if I was just doing it for a day out, I wouldn't have done it. Yeah. I needed to have like that push.
This guy, right? So anyway, so we all fucked now, right? So we all like sitting down, and we won this like because also we weren't with the group, we were doing it ourselves.
Yeah.
And so he's fucked. I'm fucked, right? My back's hurting, right? I'm laying down, I'm like, oh, my back. Because I've got sciatica. I think I've got a slip disc as well, I don't know. But it hurts. So anyway.
It makes everything hurt.
Yeah. So anyway, so I'm laying down and we've been on like 1 hour sleep or something. I think we were all in like 1 hour sleep. By the way, we didn't know training or nothing like that.
Yeah.
So literally no training, right? We just turned up the day and we just did it.
No.
So look at when we completed the first peak. So because obviously we went with the group, so we went our own way. So all of us mates, and so we're on the main road now. So obviously coming from the mountains, all grass is like soft. As soon as we got on the main road, our feet were killing us. Like our feet were gone. So anyway, we got to like we're about four.
So after we're in the peak,
Yeah.
right, we're going back down, and then we walk towards the road. Now from the road to the car park, it's like another 5 miles.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So we had to walk on the road with them shoes on.
Yeah.
Now everyone's
So we were all fucked basically. So we done about 2 miles, and he's like, you know what, boys, you rest here. I'm gonna leg it to my car. I'm gonna pick my car up, right, and I'm gonna come all the way. I'm gonna pick you guys up. So this guy's run 3.5 miles, right, with the boots, right, with the boots. So he ran 3.5 miles, and his elder brother as well. He's run as well, and he was like just like jogging pace. But he's ready to run all the way to 3.5 miles. He's come back in about 40 minutes.
About 40 minutes.
40 minutes. He's come back.
I've run in the peak. I ran to go get my car, and then I come pick these lot back up.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were
But then the
like
worst
me.
thing is, right, I drove home, and everybody in the car's knocked out.
Yeah.
And I'm still driving. I'm thinking everyone's like the fast asleep.
Oh, it's hard to drive like that. But you know, when you said that 5 miles to the car park,
Yeah.
then you come down Ingleton, you go through sort of like that farm, don't you? And you come round past the church to the car park.
Yeah.
That was our finishing point.
All right.
So we'd done the 3, and then we had to do the extra 5 miles. Well, our coach said to us, "Oh, we'll finish," because the week before we did the Ingleton, which is the hardest one, as our training, which were a bad idea. And then we all thought, "Oh, we'd done that one, we'd do 3," but he wasn't like that. And then when we came back as his finishing point, he said, "Oh, we'll meet at the end of where we started last week." But then there'd been like some miscommunication on the group where people were saying it'll be, once we've done the 3 peaks, we've done it, that's our finishing point. We could be collected at point 14 or point 15. But there were 2 maps. There was the Ingleton map and the 3 peak map. So it was sending us 2 different points. So I'd got injured coming towards the top of Ingleton. My knee went. And then we had to come back down Ingleton. And then you come through like 2 caves, don't you? And there's like all them stones past that Ingleton cave. And I went to put my foot down and my knee would not bear any weight, so I had to sit down on the rocks and like push myself on my hands and feet and like sort of crawl down. And the girl Steph that was up front with me, she went, "Do you know what, Bianca, I know we said we weren't going to quit this, but you're going to have to, like, do you want to ring anyone?" And I rang the coach and I was like, "Do you know what, Sean, like, I'm really, really injured, I cannot put my foot down." And he was like, "Do you reckon you can do it?" And I was like, "You know me, if I go home, I'm going to have to come back and beat this." And I was like, "Plus I'm doing it for my granddad. How many miles have I done?" And he's like, 20 miles. I'm like, "I'm not leaving now, like, I've got 5 miles, I'm not doing 20 miles for nothing. I'm going to do this for my granddad." So I dragged it, I tied my top round it, and I dragged it, I crawled certain parts and dragged it. And then when we got to where the trees sort of come round by cave, I just broke a branch and made my own walking stick, because we thought the hiking sticks were getting in way and we wouldn't need them. So we left them in van, but we would have needed
So you
them.
did the hiking stick, but you left it in the...
Yeah, because we were like, they're in his way and you're climbing and hands and feet sometimes. So I was like, "Oh, I'm not bringing them, they're no use." And they would have been used.
on the way back they were needed, yeah. But honestly, anybody that finishes that challenge, I have a lot of respect for you, man. Because it's not an easy challenge. It is not an easy challenge. Especially like, there's certain parts where you literally have to climb up the mountain.
Yeah, that's when we struggle with the girls with the heights, because we came around the mountain. Oh, sorry, we came around the mountain.
Just turn it towards you a little bit. There we go.
I'm terrible.
Yeah, sorry.
On the rocks and the cliff edge, so we climbed up with hands and feet at that side. And the look on the side, I'm not scared of heights, and I didn't think the coach was. But when we all got to that point...
What do you mean? The coach was scared as well. Hang on. So the coach is... Why is the coach scared of heights?
I think everybody
It's his idea.
didn't know what they signed themselves up for, or we wouldn't have done it. But when we got there, we all sort of grouped for like the one woman that sort of mentioned her fear with heights, and she smashed it, she did it, and I was so proud of her. And like the rest of us that like heights, that I went paragliding in Turkey like the month before, and I found that so much easier than that mountain. And I was like, it's the drop, it's the fact that if I trip, that's my
Yeah,
drop.
yeah.
And I was like, this is difficult. And Sean even said, I'm so glad you were in front of me, because I kind of did it on my stomach, and I was like, Sean, I got halfway up there and I was like, don't look. But we sort of grew back together and helped this woman, and she absolutely smashed it. Like, I think on that, you've got to sort of head down, just do your footwork and your handwork. And that's when I sort of got my injury on the last one. This knee was sort of aching, so I jumped off my back leg to sort of reach up and grab the last mountain where it was a bit of a gap. And as I jumped off, I felt my knee go and I just couldn't stand. And then I looked and I'm like, we haven't got long to go. Halfway up in, like, they were going to be like 5 minutes, and they were like 5 miles.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a difficult one, even if you're not scared of heights.
No, because you were really scared of heights. I mean, that's something to be proud of. I'm really proud of my brother, who's older than me. We've actually had him on a podcast. He, during COVID, he got COVID really bad. Like, he literally almost died. He was in a coma. They had to put him in an induced coma. He's the only guy that I know that got put in the ICU and he came out alive.
Oh.
Yeah, they had him on TNA and everything. He literally, and he's only like 40 years old. So, you know, when this happened, he was about like 38 or something. And he literally, like, you know, he's basically got like long-lasting damage on his lungs.
Has he?
Yeah, and he goes, I need to do this. So, you know, we had to keep stopping for him. But he smashed it. He did it. You know, he's got scarring on his lungs and stuff, you know, on the inside. But he managed to do really, really well.
That's good that he's bounced back into that point. My son was in intensive care unit a few weeks ago from an epileptic seizure, and when you see people in there, it's not often people come out. So to come out and then get yourself to that point, I think that's why I've sort of pushed myself in all these silly stuff I've been doing lately. With like the paragliding, the free peaks. Now I'm going to do the boxing few. I think I'm going to do that for epilepsy action after Rio's seizures. But
so it's in October, that event, isn't it?
Yeah.
Have you actually got a fighter lined up and everything as well?
We're sort of doing mine last minute because of my injuries. So up until yesterday, I've been in a splint and a knee support. So I sprained both knees and I tore my PCL on this walk. So I haven't been signed off to train yet. But I'm hoping physio this week is going to sign me off because I can walk now and my knees are better now.
Who's the lady you're going to be fighting?
I'm not sure yet. They're going to do mine last
Oh, it's not like a
minute.
friend or something?
It could be one of the girls in the gym.
All right, okay.
So, yeah.
But it's not going to be like a serious thing, is it? It's not like...
No, it's a charity fight.
Yeah, so it's going to be like a little mess about kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. We're just going to do it for our charities. It's going to be serious for me because I've got to get in that ring, but...
So you're going to be like the full head gear and stuff?
Yeah.
For safety and whatnot.
Yeah.
How many rounds have they mentioned?
I think it's 3 rounds.
3 rounds.
For the charity
Yeah,
fight.
look, it's a charity thing, right? You're there to, you know, raise money, raise awareness, and I hope it goes well, you know.
Yeah, do you know what? Like, after everything I've been through, I just want to push myself. Like, I got to 30 and, like, I finally got my divorce papers 2 weeks before my 30th. And it was
You were
like
whoop, whoop, party.
No, I was like the opposite. I was like, don't throw me a party. Yeah, I was like, 30 is the first birthday that bothered me. And then, like, all these labels again, this 2.4 family, 30 years old, you're supposed to be at this point in your life. And even though, like, I had achieved, because
I don't follow that shit. I've
got past it now.
I think everybody is... There's no race, right? There's no race. I'm not in competition with anybody else. You shouldn't be either, right? Everything happens at the right time with whoever, right? At the right time, you know. Everyone works at their own pace.
Yeah.
I know people that bought their first house when they're bloody 18,
Yeah.
right? And stuff like that. But the thing is, good for you, you know what I mean? You were able to achieve that or whatever. I know people that have managed to get their first house at the age of 50. So it's not a race, I don't think.
Yeah, that'll probably be me after this divorce. But it took years to get the papers and he was refusing it. And then they brought in that thing where you didn't need their consent after 2 years of being separated.
All right, okay.
And give a dissolvement. So I finally got it by that. And I was really glad that I was getting like my own name back because that was a big part of my control back and his gone. And but then because I got the papers coming up to my 30th, and my 30th I was already feeling like, oh, I'm going to be 30, like I'm divorced and I've got all these things. Like everyone was like, oh, well, you've got the business and stuff. But then in that divorce, like he'd done a lot of financial things behind my back that left a lot of debt. So then I was like, oh, I thought I would have had a house by 30, but I've had to pay off this debt, I've had to pay off this divorce. And like so many other little things. And I thought I'd be like married, and even though I've done that, it not worked out. And I was like kind of feeling a bit. So I rang Melissa and my friend and I said, oh, do you want to go to Turkey for my 30th? I was like, I'm just looking online, I'm going to book it. I don't want to do a party. I don't feel like I've got something to celebrate. And I was like, I just want to push myself, do something random. And she's like, well, yeah, well, what are you pushing yourself with? I was like, I'll tell you when we get there. So then when we got there, we was like booking all these activities. And then she was like, come on, we'll go get a cocktail for your birthday. And then we were like walking past this guy with his stall. I'm like, can we book loads of different activities? And she knew we was going to do like a boat party and stuff like that. And then I like sort of dropped it to a last minute, like, oh, yeah, I got her a few shots at Jimmy's bar. And I'm like, yeah, so we're going to go paragliding in half an hour.
Yeah.
You're going to be in Sky soon. And then she thought we were joking. And then when we got there, she's like, we're actually going up in Sky. And she's like, going to take Guy in boat after we got off transfer. And he sat us on boat. And he's like, just don't touch metal clips and you'll be fine. And she's holding metal clips for her life. Like, what do we do? We're going to be all right. If you let go of them metal clips, if not, that's your reject button.
Yeah, exactly.
And she was like, well, why has he got a parachuting boat? And she didn't know we were going to do it. But I just thought anything where I get the opportunity now to throw myself into something so uncomfortable and just like out of my control, and that breaks me in a good way, I'm gonna do it. So yeah, I've pushed myself in so many ways this year.
Yeah, it's like like for example, like in 10 years' time, we were like, shit, I should have done that. But like you're throwing yourself into it. Yeah. And you're doing it. It's a big achievement. It's a big, it's a big thing because a lot of people don't wanna. Put themselves in the deep end. No. Straight away. They might like, ease into it a bit, but you thought, fuck this, I'm going into it straight away.
And you know what? That keeps a lot of people going back and forth in relationships to get that, like, trauma bond.
Yeah.
And they like, the chemicals it releases with, like, being broken and then the making up and then... But you can do that, like, with adrenaline. And you can do that in the gym and you can do that with your work. Yeah. So it's like finding healthy ways. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not doing 3 peaks ever again. I feel like I've ticked that off and that relationship's over. But anything where I sort of get that chance, I'm going to...
I think you would do it. If there's a good enough cause, I think you would do it again. You wouldn't do it?
No, I've been there and I've done it.
Fair enough. I mean, I suppose...
I'd probably do something different. Some of the girls are doing the Snowdonia one with the mountains and then the 20-mile kayaking.
Yeah.
And I was like, do you know what? If it was just the kayaking, I feel like the 3 peaks taught me I'm not as fit as I thought I was.
But we can always work on it though.
Yeah.
It's like obviously we didn't do any training, but we didn't do the 3 peaks. We only did one.
Yeah. We only had like 6 weeks notice as well. So our training one, and then with my son getting ill again, I missed a couple of weeks, so I felt like maybe if I would have had a few months more, I might have like built up that sort of strength and resilience.
Anyway, what's the vision for your business now then going forward?
So we're gonna try different things. There's always different jobs.
Because you've got an actual shop, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, and because obviously everybody can see it on your socials. You've got an actual shop front and everything.
Yeah.
And that's like your workshop as well, where you work from.
Yeah.
So yeah, like the vision going forward, like do you want to expand it? How much do you want to expand it? Well, what is the plan?
Yeah, I'm going to expand it, but I'm going to do it gradually, like around raising the children. There's sort of a 6-year plan, and then once they've sort of like, my son's going to be like high school ages next year and stuff like that, and then once sort of like they're in the end of high school, the start of college for the kids, and I've done what I need to do and left that flexibility there, there's going to be like other shops opening and other things as well. But for now, like, I want to do work in different cities, which I've managed to do. We were quite lucky because one of Huddersfield's apprentice winners had us in like the beginning of opening the business to do their seating booths and...
are you know about the dessert one?
Yeah, also Yum did. Yeah.
I think she's opened a branch in Bradford.
Yeah, she has.
She has.
And I think I read somewhere that she's bought her part back off The Apprentice now. So I think she's become independent again as well. Yeah.
I tell you what, she did really well on The Apprentice. She was like a very shrewd businessman, very articulate the way she talked. Very good she was, man. I was really happy when she managed to get there. We were kind of rooting for her, to be honest.
Yeah, she's got a good head on her shoulders.
So you've actually done work for her as well?
Yeah, she was one of my first jobs.
Oh wow.
So I think like...
Well, did she approach you or did you approach her?
She rang the shop.
Oh, wow.
She rang us. I didn't know about it at that point. And then as soon as I found out about it and we're working with her and we saw like what was going on, it was really nice to do their job. But that helped us as well because she'd just sort of started expanding hers and The Apprentice had just come on. That sort of give us a lot more people to sort of hear about us or see about us, like with social media platforms and stuff like that. And then we got other restaurants and businesses that contacted us. So I think like there's going to be a lot. Like I went into it to help families and that'll always be my core. Like I said, with like the men and the businesses, and it'll always branch off. And we've got an opportunity to go on the bed repair truck show on BBC One last year, when we was doing the bed repairs, but their road show and their dates didn't really match ours for when they'd been in town. So we was going to do a bit of a thing with that, but I want to kind of keep my core in my family and helping where I can, and then also do like the branches and the different people. So when we was going to Turkey, I said to my friend in airport, I'm going to get a client abroad and I'm going to get a client in Sky. And she was like, there's no way you're going to get a client on plane. I'm like, I will. So like up and down talking to everyone and just making conversations. And I got an order while I was in the Sky, just showing them, different stuff I did and people that we were sat around. And she was laughing at me. She was like, you say something and it happens. And that's why you've got to be positive, because, that's how it goes. And yeah, I think for me now, I just want to do what I'm doing around the children and meet their needs and their health at the moment. But then once that 6 years gone, I want to travel with it. I want to go to different countries, set up different shops and show other people how to do it as well. So it's going to branch off in different places, really. Like we've got a client in Turkey, and I've got clients in Bradford, Leeds and Liverpool and Newcastle. And I wanted it to start off a local business and venture out cities, but it's nice now. We've had like some Irish contacts approach us, and obviously the guys in Turkey approach us to do orders for them. So it's nice now. It's sort of building off, and that's what I want to keep doing, really.
So did you believe in like a manifestation?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
You manifest something and then
Yeah, it happens. Initially, like one of my friends, she used to say it a lot to me, and I was like, all right, I'm going to win lottery then, and having a laugh with it. But then when I seen like how her behaviour was attracting good people and sort of opposing sort of the wrong, and then the same with like her decisions, I was like, well, we are all really strong-minded, so we can make them decisions.
Yeah.
And like I said, with like the airport, and I'm going to get a client here today, or I'm going to do that. I've done that a lot in business, and it's worked.
Yeah, that's yeah. A lot of people do manifest whatever they want. Majority of them do get it.
Sometimes you get too good at it. I was talking about someone I hadn't seen in 10 years a few months ago, and then he approached me like the day after, and I was like, I literally manifested you back here by accident. But yeah, no, it can be a good thing.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. Honestly, like once again, like to say where you've come from and where you're going, and what you've been able to achieve is absolutely amazing. Because anybody else, and this is the reason why we wanted to have you on, mainly because we want to show that if you are going, because there'll be a lot of women and a lot of guys who are at the moment going through the rough patch that you were going through.
Yeah, and it's not just the divorce, because it's the fear of entrapment. You get a lot of men that don't want to leave because they've got kids.
Yeah.
And you get a lot of women that don't want to leave because they're married, or there's like a financial dependency or a tenancy contract or a mortgage. And I was in that situation, and I'm not going to say to anyone like leaving's easy, because if it was, everyone would do it. It's not easy. It's really, really difficult. And there's a lot of things you have to go through. Like I said, with the homeless situation, had I have just been in a relationship and not a marriage, I could have gone to a landlord the next day with my children and they wouldn't have experienced that. But because I was married, the landlords were saying to me, like, does your husband approve? Like, we want to do credit checks on him. And then he wasn't. So that made our time in that environment a lot longer. And I didn't know when I was getting married. Like, people joke about women marrying for money and stuff. And unless you're going to marry a footballer, like, that's not the case. But actually, the facts coming out. So if a woman, like, I got sick after my divorce and I had to have surgery, and I couldn't work then. And there's no benefits because you're married, there's no help with your rent. And like even someone like me that works 12, 13, 14 hour days, you could end up in that situation where you need that support or whatever, and it's just not there because you're married. They expect you to go to your husband for your half of the rent, and if they're refusing divorce and not being civil, you can't do that. So there is like so much things.
It's a very flawed system, that, though, isn't it?
Yeah, really bad. It lets women down so bad. It's like with the violence. A lot of women, I did a job for one of the housing companies in Bradford, and they get a lot of like women going through my situation and a lot of men, and some of the men might like come out of jail and starting again, or you know, sort of lost everything and started again. And there were couples that had businesses, houses, and they'd lost it all in COVID. So it was like meeting so many different types of people, and they didn't know, like, that they would be in that situation, like, or they'll leave the husband, but they didn't know that support wouldn't be there. And if that person's like a normal person, that might not be an issue. But if there's an element of control in that relationship, for men or women with kids or marriage or financial dependencies, that then becomes a massive issue, and it can easily, like, completely turn your life upside down. But I always say to people, like, it is a really difficult road, I'm not going to lie to anybody. But where I am now, 3 years later, I've got my own independence, I'm still working to pay the debts off, but, like, freedom-wise, mentally-wise, physical-wise, the person I am, the things that I can do now, what I couldn't do before, it is so much worth it now. Because where would I have been 3 years later? Would I have ended up dead? Would I have ended up, you know, like, would it have turned around being a good marriage? But would there still have been aspects of it that meant I wasn't the person that I was meant to be? I doubt I would have ever got into the upholstery, and I know for a fact I would have never have ever had the experience of having my own business. So, like, even if it is going to be a tough, like, 18 months, 2 years, depending on the other person, eventually that third year, for me anyway, other people have different time frames, but that third year for me is worth, I'd do it again tomorrow. And it is, because 3 years in the wrong relationship, where you going? Where you're going to be, how are you going to feel in yourself, how are you going to treat other people because you're not happy in yourself. The person I was in that marriage when I wasn't happy, I don't like that person now. When I look back, like, even though I wasn't doing that, the lack of respect and the way I was communicating, and like you said, people treating men wrong and hating men, I didn't have a good opinion of men, and I wasn't speaking to him with respect because my respect for him had gone. Whereas now I don't treat people like that, and they don't treat me like that. And that's what I want to show to my kids.
Yeah, so, like, when you were in the marriage, do you think he made you feel very insecure about yourself?
Yeah.
Is that one of the reasons why, like, you know, you thought, no, I'll do what the fuck I want?
Yeah. And initially I did it in a self-destructive way. I was like, I'm going out every Saturday. But then something hit me, and it was like, this isn't actually, like, showing him or myself. This is just, like, damaging myself. Because I was probably binge drinking, do you know what I mean? And I was like, then, like, they'd say to me in the gym, like, oh, once you've drank alcohol, you can't burn calories for 3 or 4 days. So that actually is, like, stalling my progress. And I didn't want to do this, and, like, I got a really bad reputation for dancing on DJ booths and showing everyone my virtual DJ skills. And, like, some of the videos, like, you used to go out and no one knew, but, like, the next day now you have to see it on Snapchat. And I just don't need that in my life on a Sunday morning. And I was like, I'm not doing this. So now my Sunday mornings are like Snapchats to doing the chairs and showing people how to repair things if, you know, they might not be able to afford to have it repaired at that time. I don't just repair things, I show people how to do it as well. And now I'd rather my Snapchat videos be stuff like that.
No, it's good though, because the thing is, you've completely changed your life and you're more serious, you're more business focused. Obviously it's because you've grown up now, isn't it? It's like, so it's like, you know, your mentality's changed. Obviously your kids are getting a bit older and you're more like kind of career focused rather than just having a good time or just having a laugh or whatever. And like I said, everything happens for the right, you know, everything happens. I'm a very optimistic guy. I believe everything happens for the good, right? Not in every situation, but in your situation, I think that is the case. I think what's happened and the journey that you've gone down and where you are so far, I think everything it's panned out. And it's only getting better.
Yeah, I hope so. And you know what? I couldn't have done it if I wouldn't have had support. And, like, I was really lucky, like, at the times for the friends I had. But there was one person in my family, my auntie Donna, and she stood by me through it. And not that it was a similar situation, because it wasn't at all. She lost her husband around the time that, just before I separated and became divorced. So we went to being single parents, and we decided to start, like, holidaying together, because we'd always holidayed with his husbands. So we lent on each other in ways, and we recently went away to caravan with kids. And do you know what? If I didn't have her, I don't think I'd be alive. When I was going back to that temporary accommodation and the kids, like, she was my only support for childcare, and she'd give me a break once a week on a weekend, and still does now. That's where they are tonight. But
what's her name?
My auntie Donna.
Big up Auntie Donna.
She's a legend. Do you know what? She was so good, because she had the life experience. She had a 30-year marriage that would have never have ever ended by death, either side. and she's had lived life, and she had so much experience for me, and I think she kept me like on the positives of like, this ain't you. She's got her own house, you know, she's travelled the world, she's been married forever, and she's like, that marriage wasn't a good marriage. And at first I was like, I'm never ever getting married again, I'm never having another partner. And then in local pub they nicknamed me Sonic. As soon as like a guy be like, can I have your number? I beg gone.
Yeah.
And then they'd be like, well, did you go last week, Sonic? We like, look back and you were gone. And I'm like, you were saying, well, I think that was my training for 3 peaks.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, but she was like, you know what, marriage is such a beautiful thing, and the person you are, you're like me, you're very loyal, you're very soft at heart, even though like strong and feisty and whatever, women were soft really. And she was like, do you know what, for you, when you meet the right person, marriage is going to be a great thing. And hearing that, when I just was like, never ever getting married again, eventually has gone in, and her support has like kept me going, because honestly some weeks the kids needed to be in a normal household as well, in a break from the temp, but they also needed to be around someone positive. And at that time, like, I was masking it. Like, in the daytime my kids never knew I went out drinking. I'd say, oh, I'm off to work and you're off to Auntie Donna's. I kept it from everybody, and I'm really good at putting that face on. And everyone has a joke with me. Like, one of my coaches, Midi, said last week when I was injured, he FaceTimed me and I were in A&E, and he goes, what are you doing? What's happened to you? And I didn't have no makeup on, well, my red lipstick. And he goes, I've told you, get that red lipstick on now. Like, that's you. Like, you get up, you put that red lipstick on, and you go no matter what is going on. He's like, and tomorrow I'll be driving past shop. You need to be working, and you need to have your red lipstick. And it was kind of that boot on my backside that I needed. And like, one of my old friends, Ashley, got back in touch, and he's been so great with me, and like giving me that self-confidence in myself, like, all the time. And like, it takes a long time to hear. It takes to hear one bad thing about yourself to believe it, but it takes years of hearing a good thing about yourself to accept it. And if I wouldn't have had my Auntie Donna and the friends and support and the coaching there, I would not be alive today.
But the thing is, you can't buy life experience, okay? So what she's done is amazing. And like I said, you know, thank you so much to her, big up to her as well. But it's good that you've had these people who've been able to help you, you know, through this hard time. And it's, I think you're quite lucky in that sense. I think
that's why I need to pay it back now.
Yeah.
And help other families.
I think you're quite lucky. But, yeah, I mean, I think we'll kind of, like, end on this one. But looking forward to your next fight. Well, your next fight. Your actual fight they're going to have in October. Yeah. I mean, I know you've come from a long way away, and it's obviously a bit hard to wait, but would you be minded to come back after the fight?
Yeah.
Because we want to know how that went. I'm sure everybody's.
But
I'm sure everybody's going to want to know how the fight went and everything.
Yeah.
Do you think we're going to be able to see it somewhere as well, like on a YouTube or somewhere?
Yeah, I'll share it with you when it comes out.
Right, wicked. That's going to be wicked. We're going to post that everywhere. Right, when it gets sparked out.
I better get training.
when it gets sparked
Everyone
out.
will be tuning in to see me get beat up.
Yeah, but that's going to be wicked. But like, also we don't want to keep it for that long, because just to let everybody know, yeah, you dress like this because you're going to a birthday party, right?
Yeah, we've got my friend from school, West 30th, so...
Yeah. That's why we don't want to keep it for that long either, because I think the plan was you were going to be wearing like your own merch, your own merch, but then you turned about like, what's going on
She's
here?
working now.
I'm like, you know, yeah, she's not working.
Did she do a upholstery deal?
Yeah, but like, you know, no, I've got a birthday party to go to after. Like, listen, no, whatever, man, it's fine. But honestly, really appreciate that you come down.
Oh, thank you for having me.
No, but it takes a lot for you to talk about some of the things you talked about. You know, it's not everybody. Not everybody wants to talk about it because it's awkward.
It is embarrassing, but hopefully, like, people can learn from it.
Don't think of it as embarrassing. I don't think it is. I just think some people get quite uncomfortable talking about this. But like, to say from where you were to where you are now, I think people need to see this.
Yeah, it is a difficult road, but the end result is worth it. And inside here, like, it's not just having a business or my independence, it's how I feel now. Yeah. And that's the best thing.
You feel good about yourself now.
And it's projecting now, like the charity work and everything else. Like, I'm doing so much good in life, and that is all you're here for.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're here to, like, of course, better yourself, but along that journey of finding yourself and bettering yourself, if you can help other people, what else,
Yeah.
Can you ask with, like, from life, if you, it's a journey, isn't it? It's a whole journey, but the whole journey, it's a bit selfish to do it all by yourself. There's people out there that need help. There's people like you said that were in your situation, and you're trying to help them out. But even people in a different situation, some kind of a struggling, and if you can give them some kind of help, right, that'll mean the world to them.
Yeah.
Like at that point, like what you said earlier, and I know I'm going back onto it, and we're going to be ending it, but like when you didn't when when you were sleeping in was it the housing, right, and your bed wasn't broken, or something was something was broken, or something. If you could have found somebody who was in the situation you're in right now, doing really well, that would have been like a godsend.
Oh, some of the women, they have you in tears.
Yeah.
Like with one woman, she'd quickly tell you she had a child with asthma and she was struggling, same situation as me. And I said to her, 'cause I've got asthma, that bed needs to go because that's triggering her asthma. And I said, I've got some anti-allergy stuff I can use, like a Leveron. I said, I'll come back and I'll fix it for you. And then the daughter ended up less and less in hospital because the environment, I told her loads of little tricks and tips that I've found with my breathing. But then afterwards, one of the clients I went back to going through divorce, I was a bit of an agony aunt. It was kind of like, yeah, but look at the chairs and the books in a minute.
Yeah.
How were you?
Yeah.
And then one of them, I just did the job for this week. I went back to, she was in a brilliant seemed to be in a brilliant marriage last year, and this year I've gone back and she's like, oh, I kind of seen what you did, and I thought, what, this isn't for me, and I'm going now. And I was like, wow, sit down, let's have a brew. And sometimes the women, they'll have you in tears,
Yeah.
and I think, I've got 20 minutes and then I've got my next client, and then I'm like an hour late because we get talking, and some of there's so much sentimental stuff and heartfelt stuff, and when the parents are grabbing you and giving you a hug, and I couldn't afford to, with everything that's going on and price of everything, I couldn't afford to give my child a bed, and like now I don't feel ashamed as a parent, and I thought I was hard till I started this job, and right now I've got packet tissues in my toolbox. Yeah. But no, it's making a big difference and helping people, and that's all I want to do.
Just keep doing what you're doing, honestly. And I think you're going to get more and more support. Our job is to promote what you do on your brand as much as we can, okay? Because like I said, we're big fans of people that use, like handcraft, craft work that you do.
Yeah.
So it's our job to promote as much as we can, promote your message as much as we can, positivity, and basically, like I said, once again, how you've managed to turn your life around. It's just very, very admirable. And like I said, we'll have you on again, hopefully, if you're happy to come down after the fight.
Might be busy if I lose.
Yeah. No, we'll drag it down here. No, we could talk about that as well. Listen, you know it yourself, right? It's not about, I would say it's not about winning or about taking part. No, I mean, like, even with a loss, right?
No, do you know what? It takes a lot to get in there, doesn't it? And that's the main.
Yeah. Balls, isn't it?
No, we've had a professional boxer on, and he lost his last fight, okay, and we're going to have him on again because guess what? I'm sure he can share his experience, how it was with a loss.
Yeah, and I bet he'll teach him a lot to win next time.
Of course, yeah, and so yeah, it's going to be good to have you back on. Thank you so much for coming down. Really appreciate it.
No, thank you.
And yeah, guys, till next time, this is Bobzybounce signing out.